The story really touches upon a theme of what do you do with the gifts and the opportunities that have been given to you in life, right? So if there's this character, Leo's character, that is someone who has, 6'4", blue eyes, leading man, and has an amazing, gorgeous voice, and he has that gift and he hasn't used it and he wasted it away for whatever reason he might give himself, right? Then he has this gift that he doesn't use and he wastes. So the opposite was always having a character that doesn't have that gift, that can't speak, but that would die to have that opportunity and that gift. In fact, it is his deaf younger brother who has more of a voice than Leo, and who uses that when he shows his older brother how to use his voice, even though he doesn't have one, right? So um, that's how the character came to be. I thought it was necessary for the plot and for Leo's arc and Leo's growth, right? Um, and then as far as casting the character, I always thought we need to cast a deaf actor for this. Um, I think that having at that point I had written the script already, but I had seen Coda and I had seen other movies that have deaf characters, and I thought it definitely needs to be a deaf actor. Now, here in comes the issue. In Venezuela, the acting community is very small right now because of what has happened over the last 25 years, and there's really no telenovela industry and the film industry is very small over there. The deaf acting community is even smaller, like almost non-existent, and unfortunately. But I hired two ladies to help us learn Venezuelan Sign Language for 2.5 months before production, so we can get acquainted with whoever this actor was going to be, so I can get acquainted with the language and everything. And we found two actors that were deaf that came in an audition, and they were good, but they didn't quite fit the part. And we were out of options. We were 3 weeks away from production, 4 weeks away from production, 1 month. And the producers, being good producers, they said, you know what, you're gonna have to find this guy in Colombia and Argentina and Mexico and bring him to Caracas. But I'm a bit of a tourist, and I like to say perseverant. Some other hard-headed. Some people say hard-headed. I say perseverant. Um, and I told them this guy exists somewhere. I know he does. So the ladies that were teaching us Venezuelan Sign Language, I told them, look, bring me every young man from 20 to 30 years of age in the entire country who's deaf. Every single one. Doesn't matter where they are. We'll pay the plane ticket, the bus, whatever. They got to be here in 5 days for the casting. And they found around 8 men, young men, all deaf. And these guys were not actors. They just came from different parts of the capital and the vicinity. And they auditioned and they were great and they were nervous. The last one that we saw was Angelo Lopez. And he came in, he was super nervous, sweating, flubbing the lines, but it didn't matter. 20 seconds into it, as soon as he walked in and I saw his face, I said, I'm 90% sure this is it. And then a minute into it, I said, this is the guy. And on his side, he's a young man that lived in El Valle, which is a slum in Caracas, a literal slum. And in WhatsApp, he has a group with a bunch of deaf friends. And then one of them sent this message saying, hey, they're looking for a deaf young man for casting for a movie for the lead role. And he told his girlfriend and his mom, like, oh, look at this. This is crazy, but I'm not going to go because I'm not an actor. And they said, no, you should go. He said, no, like I'm working construction. I'm working as a teacher to teach little kids Venezuelan Sign Language. Why should I go? I'm not going to go. And they said, You have to go and do your best. Do it. Just do it. He said, fine, I'll do it. And he came and he got the role and he really threw himself, his heart, his soul into it. He worked so hard at this with the interpreters, with Carlos, then with me. He had the whole script laminated in a binder. Nobody taught him how to do this. Like he just did it. And he won three international awards for Best Actor um, in different international film festivals. And he would have won more if we would have put the movie in more festivals that had that category, had that category and that award. And I think the moral of the story of this whole thing is, listen to the women in your life. Sometimes they know better. Sometimes they have the intuition. Um, Troy Kotsur, who was the father, the Oscar-winning actor that played the father in Coda, saw the film and was so amazed by his performance. Did a Zoom with Angelo for an hour, and they talked and showed him the Oscar, and he was like, "Hey, you're gonna win this one day." And it's crazy. It's just so amazing to me that again, it's the movie. It's get an opportunity, work hard, persevere, work towards your dreams, and amazing things are gonna happen. Um, yeah, and it's just amazing for me to see somebody like Angelo have the courage to give himself that opportunity and then double down and then say, all right, he didn't phone it in. Was not, no, he worked his ass off. And I worked with him a lot, but it was him. And sometimes people tell me how great it is that you gave this young man an opportunity. And I said, no, it's the opposite. How awesome that he gave me the chance to have him on set and work his ass off and then give me and this project and this movie and that character all of him. All I had to do is give him on a stage. Like, here's the stage. Put him there. Now go. And he's the one that did, it takes off like a rocket. And the same thing with a lot of people that worked on this movie. The photographer that hadn't done a feature in his entire life, he had never worked with anamorphic lenses. And yet there it is. And there's the cinematography. And he did it with three guys and with three technicians. And one of those guys was 65. You have these people in Venezuela, and I'm sure in other countries as well, that are like hidden treasures. And all they need is just that opportunity, that one chance, and they just fly with the talent. They shine. They shine brighter than the sun.